And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Culp. I'm your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It is the 21st. I had a look. It's July 2025. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you had a good weekend. I did a lot of traveling this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. And I must tell you, flying back and forth from the Northeast Corridor, what a pain in the rear. In case you don't know, there's some issues, and then if weather comes up, let's just say, whatever time your flight is, just add 90 minutes for starters. That's what's been going on. I'm prepped. I get the lounges. Anyway, hope you had a good weekend. As always, we have a bunch to talk about. In the last couple of weeks, I have taken the time to talk to you about froth and speculation and junk. And when we use the term junk in the markets, nothing personal against the company, but any company that has no sales in our world is junk. We'll get into that because we have some things to say. And of course, we'll talk markets, the economy, your job, your industry, the BS out of DC, and boy, it is being spewed a lot, both parties as usual. Well, we'll cover that. And if you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post it on our Twitter, on our X feed, which used to be Twitter. And if you don't follow us on X, you should. And if you'd like to email us, just be nice. By the way, we'll also post them on the podcast apps and the Biz Radio. I got to get the name. Their YouTube channel. They have one. We're going to start with froth and speculation. Every now and then you get into moments in the market where froth and speculation become what we call insane. And we don't put it down because if you can catch them, if you catch them at the right time, there's some big money to make. We have highlighted stocks for you recently that went from like 1 to 25 in 2 days, back to 1 though. But we always warn you about this because the loudest noise on some of these things are after the move. We're always wary after a big move in any company when the CEO gets on the cover of Newsweek or something like that. That only gets reported after big moves. So anyway, we've been talking about nuclear stocks, quantum computing stocks, air taxis, drones, no driver vehicles. And we've just been simply saying to you, don't be the last one in. We also say to you, we don't know how far it goes, how long it lasts, but we do know by precedent, and we did this for you many times in the last few weeks, by precedent, if nothing changes, they'll go back to where they came from. And how do we know this? Well, we spend our time watching markets, but studying markets, going backwards to when crazy happened. And what we mean by crazy is buy at any price, regardless of the company, because it's on the move. And again, we're not here to put down the companies. We're sure some of these companies may end up being big. But we've warned you on many occasions. If you recall, for you, Rivian, $78 IPO was $180 within a couple of days. And we simply said to you that they hadn't sold a car. but the market cap was almost as big as Ford and GM, and Ford and GM had $260 billion of sales. Well, Rivian went from 180. The IPO was 78, right? Actually hit a low of 8. It's at $13 right now. And by the way, they do sell a lot of cars now, but they've never made a dime. So 178 to 13. That was one of the big ones, because we got, I wouldn't call them death threats. We got threats from people because we came out and said, we think it's worth $10. Just based on shares outstanding and what they had. The NFTs. We told you it was nonsense. We couldn't believe it, what was going on. I still remember somebody bought one for like $2 million and tried to sell it and couldn't get $50. When all hell is breaking loose, it's our job to keep your feet on the ground. Well, we're just letting you know, we do not know exact timing. No way of knowing. We are letting you know we think there's a chance we're nearing a moment or at a moment where the froth is going to come off because of how much of a move has been made in companies that just have no sales. Maybe they have promise, but no sales. And amazingly, we were able to tell you of companies with no sales that have been public for 15 years. And they're being frothed to the upside. 15 years of being public and promising sales and never having one. I don't even know how you stay public. So recently, you just had these moves. And I want to repeat something. If nothing changes, that's all. And we've heard of news, partnerships, and the like, but we've heard that before. So if you want to pay $13 billion for a company with no sales, or $9 billion for a company with no sales, or $6 billion with a company with no sales, God bless. Don't be the last one in. I think I'm getting the feeling that we're getting close, if not at hand, that these things are going to have the snot beat out of them. Because why can't a $13 billion market cap with no sales go down to $3 billion, which is more than 75%, and still be ridiculously overvalued? So just be careful. Be smart. Again, would you buy a home that's being offered at $300,000 and hand them $2 million? It's just simple questions. It's just simple questions. So we're letting you know again. We think we may be close. They hit a few today, but my thoughts are not on what happened today. My thoughts on sometimes your handsome and buff toast has a decent feel of what's happening now. And I just think the attitude and the atmosphere I'm seeing a little too much expectation that nothing can go wrong, and they're headed to the moon. Again, no sales. One of them with 13 billion market cap, a bunch of them between 5 and 10. Up next, Scott Scheffler. A lesson. This is the one only Investor's Edge. Welcome once again to Investor's Edge. Final numbers. The Dow was up 250 and finished down 19. I wouldn't take too much from that, except maybe we're at a little moment here. The S&P was up 8. I'm going to guess the S&P was much higher. Yeah, 63.36, 30 was up 40. Finished only up 8. The NASDAQ finished up 78. Okay. At one time today was up 180. NASDAQ 100 finished up 114. Transports finished down 21. So you got a little sell down. I just noticed at the end of the day, the financials banks were strong early. They got sold into. Economically sensitive things. Well, whenever I say to you something like, hey, United Rentals was down $30 today, that's something. So economically sensitive got hit. But I also want to reiterate, we have been stating to you certain areas that we would avoid. One of them, and I kind of think it's kind of sort of 1A, 1B, managed care, HMOs, and insurance stocks. We've been telling you to avoid those areas. They are in bearish phase of unknown price and time, with the managed care HMOs have just crashed. United Health 606 to 282 is a crash. Centene 80 to 27 is a crash. And we really hope you've been listening. Humana 400 to 223. How about this Elevance 567 to 276? So when we say to you, avoid an area, we always give you the other part. We don't know how long that lasts, how far it goes, but we've stayed avoid, and boy, oh boy, smoked. Now, insurance stocks are in a bearish phase, but nothing to get twisted over. We think, along with the managed care, you go look at the XLV. It's the Healthcare Select Index Fund, ETF. We'd avoid a lot of the medicals. Whether it's Thermo Fisher Scientific, or whether it's Merck, or whether it's Regeneron Pharmaceuticals. Brutal bear market, 1,200 to 545 in 11 months. We've been telling you to avoid these areas. Even they just topped out places you get your blood. Nothing bad, but they've topped. That's Quest Diagnostics and LabCorp. I just got my blood done at LabCorp recently, and she was very good. I didn't feel a thing. Drug stocks, Abbott Labs just got smoked on earnings. How about AbbVie? 218, well, it's 184, not the end of the world. Eli Lilly, supposedly the end-all be-all. By the way, Eli Lilly hit that big high back in July of 24 at 966 at 762. So we would avoid healthcare. And those are kind of sort of main. We've also told you waste management, which was stronger now in their own bearish phase. Go look at WM and RSG and things. And anything breaking below the 50-day moving average, avoid. And whatever else. But those are the main ones. Oils, for the most part, not all, avoids. So just keep all that in mind. And if it changes, we'll let you know. But the big thing for me this second, I'm thinking the froth may come off a little bit here. Thinking the froth is going to come off, which takes me to the dollar. In case you don't know, the market has been liking the dollar swooning, our dollar versus other currencies. And what does that mean? Well, if it takes $1.30 to buy a pound in London, when it was $1.10 a year ago, well, you know, that's a tougher trip to London. And of course, it's better for the Londoners to come over to the United States. Also, it helps our multinationals because they have a bunch more, can buy a lot more of our stuff. But when does it come a point where the market starts thinking about what's wrong? Why is our dollar swooning? What's the story behind that? And will we ever get a point where the market gets in trouble because of that? My only 2 words for that are stay tuned. The weak dollar has helped as of recent, including today. We're getting a little wary about the weak dollar. On that note, gold today, I'm going to quote my good buddy Gil Morales. I think he would say today was a pocket pivot on gold, GLD, as it's been in about 13 weeks of tight range bound and looks like it's trying to turn up off of that tight range bound action as of today. And the gold miners looks the same. And why would that happen? Well, go look. Go Google the words, why would gold go up if the dollar goes down? Why would commodities go up if the dollar goes down? And vice versa. Check it out, learn about it. The story goes, things are denominated in the dollar. And that's how it works. But go look it up. The dollar swooned again today. Gold had this little pocket pivot, didn't break out yet, but could be on the verge. And just a not so great finish to today. Maybe getting a little bit tired, this market. We'll see. Not 100% sure. And why would the dollar keep swooning? Well, I think the president up next. That. And then Scott Scheffler. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. So, as you know, I have a love-not love relationship with the president. And one of the things I really don't like is now he is sicking one of his departments on Jay Powell with a criminal referral over refurbishments of the buildings they're in. Give me a break. Please. Give me a break. President promised, no, he's not going to retaliate. They're talking about criminal referrals on Obama now. And don't get me wrong, I'm no fan of Obama. But I digress. The president is going to have a new central bank head next May of 26, but he's trying to get Jay Powell out now and bring somebody in to the point where, and let me be clear about this, President Donald Trump will be running our central bank because he will put a puppet in to run the central bank. I'm 100% sure. I think he'd tell you that. If he even thinks about taking the Fed funds rate down to 1% from 4.25%, all hell's going to break loose. I wish, maybe I'll try and get a hold of him and see if I am a Fox News business contributor. I am somebody. Maybe I can sit down and explain to him, you know that old line, no, don't screw with Mother Nature? Well, don't screw with the free markets. That's what Jay Powell did and caused massive inflation. Well, if the President of the United States screw with free markets, all hell's going to break loose. You think a market with a 10-year yield is at 4.37 at the close today wants 1% Fed funds? An economy where the president says is the greatest in the world. You don't do that. That's insanity. But that's why the dollar's swooning. The market knows that he is going to be running the central bank next May. And yeah, there are voters and things like that. He'll fire all their asses and put 12 puppets in. No, not kidding. You think I'm kidding? I'm completely against it. I'm completely against these Justice Department criminal referrals against Jay Powell. And you know I'm no Jay Powell fan. I worry I got to be careful about what I say. And that shouldn't be. That's why the dollar is swooning, because it is betting on what he's going to do. We'll see what the outcome is. The good news is we will be here on a daily basis, see what comes of it. But call me unhappy on the president, on some of the things he wants to do and some of the things they are doing. Let's segue. Oh, by the way, I mentioned the gold and silver. Next, and by the way, you should spend a few minutes on the dollar because it's important now. Muy importante. Another thing I'm not happy about, I'm not going to mention who. They had an ex-Trump employee from the first 4 years who's just a pundit now come out and say today, oh, they are paying the tariffs, which is helping our budget deficit. No, we are paying the tariffs. And I know this person knows the truth. So not mistaken, lying. Liars irritate me on either side of the aisle. Remember, we have no agenda, no bias, no ulterior motive. We couldn't care less if it's an R or D. We just want good policy. That's it. And you know what that policy should be? Low taxes, less regulations, get the hell out of the way. Not tariff the hell out of everybody. We move on. Oh, by the way, here's didn't even see this one. This one, next generation solid state lithium metal batteries for use in electric vehicles. Been public since 20. Hit a high of 120, hit a low of 4. It's gone to 12 pretty quickly. Has a $7 billion market cap. How many sales? None. It was down 15% today. But admittedly, it went from 4 to 15 in the last 4 weeks. Sometimes it's a nut house, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes it's a nut house. Scott Scheffler won the British Open yesterday. Royal Portrush. I played the course. And the year I played the course, I went there with the Fishman and my friend Dave. And we stayed at the Bushmills Inn. They ate haggis and the Irish breakfast. I couldn't. Blood sausage? Anyway, we played Royal Portrush, and I played horribly that day. It was a very windy day and rainy. But when we went into the clubhouse, they said, yeah, we had this young guy, 16-year-old, break the course record. It was a 61. That was Rory McIlroy. That's when I played it. He broke the course record, I think, 16 or 17. Anyway, Scott Scheffler. You notice anything? Doesn't care about celebrity. Happy that he's won. Happy he got another trophy, probably made a few million. But said, again, what defines me, my wife, my son, my family, my health. And I saw some people pissed off about that. Would you rather have him dancing cartwheels? We need to get back to a time where that matters. You know, these days we're in this TikTok, everything posting, and everybody's a celebrity and this and that. And you know what the good news is? There's a lot of Scotty Schefflers out there. They just don't pump themselves and promote themselves so you don't see it. Anyway, I love seeing that. And more importantly, less importantly, that dude can play golf. He has the one thing better than everybody by far: distance control with his irons. Ben Crenshaw, one of the greatest putters, said, I think I'm one of the greatest putters because I have the greatest distance controls with my putter on the greens. So he knew how to hit a 40, a 30, a 20, and if it got straight, it would go in the hole. Scotty Scheffler is doing it with his irons. From 200, 180, 150. Don't put a wedge in his hand. Forget it. I hate him. Man, oh man. His distance control, I have not seen that. I don't think Tiger had that great of distance control. Anyway, congrats to him. I think he's a man's man. It was good to see. I did not win my golf pool. You had to either pick Scheffler or Rory. I picked Rory and other people. Oh well. Such is life. I just thought it was a good story. Again, strong market. Fell towards the end. No biggie. Of note, though, I think maybe the blue may come off the froth. Of note, when I see United Rentals down 30, I'm, what's up? We'll see. And of note, the avoids. Up next, some news of the day, and whatever else. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. Thanks for being with us today. You know what I pride myself on? We haven't even brought up this Jeffrey Epstein thing while all this thing goes on. Just remember our thoughts. We think they're full of crap that he committed suicide. Guards were gone. No video. Dr. Bod, one of the great coroners out there, who looked it over, said this was no suicide. What does it come down to? Don't wee down my back and tell me it's raining. And now this administration is trying to tell us, no, there's none of this and none of that. Well, that changed quickly. We'll see how it goes. Back real quickly on the market. I just think a little bit of the momentum's waning. That's all. And I think some of the froth is coming off. That's my thought. That's all. Not the end of the world. Netflix was up 24 today after being down 68 on Friday. Normally, when something's down $68 on an earnings report, I would just ignore it for a while. Every now and then, you get this, how do I put it? Gap to the downside, defense, turn back up. We'll see if Netflix does that. We've seen it on rare occasions, and it's usually on big institutional names. So that was of interest to me, that it came back pretty good. Also of interest, this week, Coca-Cola, PACCAR, Pulte Homes, SAP, Texas Instruments, Capital One Financials, Sherwin-Williams, Hilton Hotels, Boston Scientific, IBM, and the Dow. Google, which, by the way, had a good move today, 2 days before earnings. ServiceNow, Tesla's on Wednesday. Blackstone, Union Pacific. I can go on and on. There's about 11, 12 pages of earnings this week. Stay tuned. Today, Domino's Pizza opened up big and finished down. So they distributed stock on a big gap to the upside. Yippee-yay-yay. In the news, I'll tell you one little thing stood out. You know how I always say people, business, capital. If able, two very important words. If able, will flow and go to places where they are treated best. I've always wondered how this guy running California continues to disrespect his citizens with ridiculously high taxes, income taxes, other taxes, and gas taxes. They just raised them again. Anybody ever heard of In-N-Out Burgers? Well, it's an institution in California. They're moving from California to Tennessee, the headquarters. And they said the reason is exactly what I am telling you. Treated poorly. Disrespected. Taking out a machete and cutting you at the knees, and taking out a mallet and hitting you over the head. Many have left California. And do you know what Gavin Newsom has going for him? And they know it. It's a fantastic state. It's a gorgeous state. It's a beautiful state. But they keep electing him. And if other areas keep electing people that disrespect the taxpayer and are what we call simple control freaks, look out. Namely in New York City, where this schmuck says we shouldn't have billionaires. Go Google how many billionaires live in New York City. That's how many billionaires will be leaving if this guy wins. And by the way, billionaires pay a lot in taxes to pay for everything in New York City. Oh, and by the way, when they say we don't think there should be billionaires, they don't think there should be millionaires. That's what communists, Marxists, and socialists are all about. But I go back to what I said, an institution, In-N-Out Burgers, a woman who runs the place, she inherited it from family and does a fabulous job. They're out of there. They're not the first. They're not the last. I'm just letting you know. People, business, and capital will flow where they're treated best. Norway tried it. Big wealth tax. Instead, they said they were going to raise a bunch of money. They lost a ton of money. Why? Wealth told Norway, and we mean the government, to go take a flying leap through the fjords. That's how it rolls. Why do you think people have been moving to Florida left and right? Simple. They're treated well here. Low taxes, less regulations. Crime doesn't pay. Go on campus and threaten somebody, see what happens to you. Shut down a highway or a bridge, see what happens to you. It's pretty simple. We're amazed anybody would vote for the opposite. But welcome to the world. Hey, you have a great evening. Drive carefully. When you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family. Make sure you hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Stay well. Be well. Until tomorrow. Good night.